There we go. If you are seeing this right now, make sure you are sharing this with somebody that is looking to move abroad. I know a lot of people are in the position where they are starting to look at moving abroad. And one of the biggest things when moving abroad is, what do I do with my family? Most of you are bringing them with you. So make sure you guys are sharing this. It looks like we will. Instagram won't be on, but I see us on Facebook and YouTube as well. So once again, thank you guys for coming back to Black Expat Life Abroad. If you guys were looking for this conversation yesterday, technology is out of our hands. Yesterday, there was some sort of Amazon breach, and many technological streams were impacted. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to get on yesterday, but I did reach back out to Miss Kellie and get her back on today to discuss how she was able to move abroad with her children. You guys may be looking to move abroad with your children and may have a little pause right now and saying, well, is this something I can do or should do? Today, we're going to get into not only why this is something that can be done, is being done, but how to start getting yourself ready, you and your family, to potentially transition abroad. So, without further ado, I do want to welcome Miss Kellie to the call. Kellie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey everyone, how are you guys? How are you, RJ?
I am doing well. Tomorrow I face what many people who live abroad don't like to face often. I've got to go back to the United States. And yeah, so I'm getting ready. Haven't started packing as of yet. Haven't even started to even look at those things. It's always a process when having to return back to the United States. But
Mhm.
outside of that, I am good. I am excited to have this conversation because my inbox is always on fire about how to help people move abroad. But a lot of people are now considering taking their children with them. And you and I both know you have a very unique story when it comes to moving abroad with your kids. And I wanted to get into that. Want to introduce who you are, kind of let everybody know what brought you here today.
Okay. Well, my name is Kellie, as you guys already know and see. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I have moved to Medellín, Colombia with my two little boys, the ages 5 and 8. I actually did RJ's relocation tour in March of this year, and that's what helped me make the decision to choose Medellin as my home destination, at least for right now. I always went into it saying, hey, I'm going to try it out for at least 1 year. If I decide to stay, I'll stay. Or if I decide to move on, I'll move on. But I don't plan on moving back to the United States, God willing.
Nah, that's real. I tell you, and you said a lot of key things there. You said you want to try it out, see what it's like. I'm seeing so many people that are thinking that the move abroad is a permanent exit. Like it's a matter of if I go to leave, have I renounced my citizenship? Have I given up everything that in America? And I'm like, who told you that? No one on this platform will tell you that at least. And what we're trying to do is kind of give some light to that. Let's back up and try to get an understanding of what even framed you living in St. Louis with your children, putting
Mhm.
moving abroad on your radar.
Well, you know what? It was already on my radar even before the pandemic. I was thinking about moving abroad. Life happened, of course. The pandemic happened, and it was kind of like things just kept getting pushed back. But with the political climate happening, and also my desire to move abroad anyway, that was just ultimately like, okay, it's time. Now I did move abroad before. I lived in China, and this was when I was single by myself, a long time ago. But I did live in China for 1 year,
Okay.
so that gave me the experience and knowledge to understand like what it could really be like to live in another country and the things you have to adjust to and what needs to happen. I had a
Mhm.
really good foundation this time around when I started looking for a place to go to. Now, just to kind of back up a little bit more, like I said, I had already been planning. So years ago, I started putting the framework down as far as, okay, well, how will I make money? And started setting up things that would allow me to make money in any location. So that
Mhm.
was like in progress. So when I made the decision, like, okay, it's time to go, we out, those things were in place. Even though I still want to build on it a little bit more and get some more
Now,
income coming in, still I have my foundation.
nah, that makes sense. The foundation is what allows so many people that are moving abroad to actually have success. It is not just the leaving America. It's not just taking your stuff and moving to another place. It is about building a life that you could actually not only just survive, because I think that's what we're doing in the United States. People are just surviving. And what more
Mhm.
people are looking to do with moving abroad is actually to start living, to start thriving. And somebody like yourself who before they had children were looking to position themselves abroad. Let me ask you, did that change or waver, or did you kind of reposition things now that you consider moving abroad with two little ones versus you had done it by yourself?
Yeah, so it was different because, of course, when I was by myself, I would just hop and go. It was just
Hmm.
me. I didn't have to worry about anything. I can go and flow how I wanted to go. But with the kids, I had to really slow down and be more intentional about what I was doing. So, for example, we didn't immediately sell everything and shut the house down. No. What I did, I waited until the kids got out of school. So they got out at the end of May. And
Hmm.
by the end of June, we were here in Medellin, Colombia. My thought was, okay, we're going to spend at least 2 months here in Medellin with the kids, everybody to see how they felt about it because I was the only person that had been here. So I had to see how they would adjust, how they
Hmm.
were they comfortable, and also for myself because I only came for what was it, 7 days for the tour.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
I was only here for 7 days. So that also gave me time to get a more realistic view of what it would be like to live here before I actually shut everything down and sold everything. So we made the decision in July I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to go ahead and stay. I told the kids. And in August, the beginning of August, we went back to the States and had to take care of some business and a few other things. But I actually shut my house down while I was there within 2 weeks. So before I came in May, I had already decluttered a lot. So, that part was had been done, but I had not sold furniture. I had not gotten rid of my car. I had not, I still had a lot to do.
Hmm.
So in 2 weeks, I shut everything down. I sold all the furniture, or it was either sold or donated. Got rid of clothes. I got rid of so much stuff that my items are now in I think it's a 5 by 10 storage, like a little
Oh
bitty storage
yeah.
unit. Like that's all I have at this point. But
Five by
yeah,
ten doors.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, but I really had to take my time and be slow and go slow with it with the kids because I wanted to make sure that they were going to be comfortable and everybody felt safe. Everybody was like good being here.
Yeah, no, and that's important. I want to highlight some things that you are saying because I tell people when you feel like you are in a burning house, you are willing to run out with whatever you can. And
Mhm.
so many of you guys may have that feeling now. You might not have had moving abroad on your radar, but what I tell you, what Kellie just said, is something very important. She started doing some things that you can start doing right now where you are, decluttering your life. You honestly, no matter who you are, where you are, you have too much stuff. That is
Yeah.
just the American way of capitalism and consuming things. You are always going to be in a scenario where when you go to move, you're like, when did I get all of this stuff? So you can start doing some of those things right now, shifting your focus and your priority onto what do I need to take with me? Not necessarily all of the clothes, the different. I was a guy. I never had a black pair of shoes or a white pair of shoes. They were always something with this goes with this shirt. This goes with this outfit. And that particular behavior is going to keep a lot of people that in America, never mind attaching on one child, two child, an entire children, an entire family. Um,
Yeah.
let me ask you, because as a mother, as a parent, there's some things that go on in the United States that we may look at from positioning our children to have to go through as, no, I'm not going to do that. Were there any things that were particularly going on in the U.S. where you were saying, I don't want my children growing up where this is normalized?
Yeah. So my 5-year-old, he was in Head Start and they had the intruder drills. So he would come home and talk about the intruder drills, how they had to go under the table or go in a closet. Like I was like, he's
I think we may be losing Kelly a little bit. But you guys still have me? Well, let Kelly come back in. What I will say is that I know a lot of you guys are definitely in that position. And I think she was talking about that normalization of, shooter incidents, incidents in the United States that, we as an adults have to navigate safety concerns. But, she said her 5-year-old, her 5-year-old child was going to school and having to navigate, should someone come into your school, should someone come in and look to present harm, this is how you operate. And for so many people, that is really tough to consider. Now, I'm of age where I was born in the 80s. And what I will tell you is, I don't remember those things. I don't remember a scenario where we were having mass incident drills. Now, I know for a fact that we used to have fire drills all of the time. These things were normalized. A fire can break out anywhere, any country, anywhere. But in the United States, we, depending on how old you are, you probably remember when the first main incident happened around in the early 2000s. And a lot of people position that as an opportunity to never have that happen again. Yet America, unfortunately, has consistently said we preserve the rights to bear arms. And with that, we are willing to put our children in particular environments where these things can happen. Now, this isn't a political conversation, it's just the reality of it. And when we look at it, this is why Kelly and so many other parents are starting to look to move abroad. Not saying that the safety is somewhere like, oh, people are like, well, is it safe over there? Well, these things that so many parents, so many students, so many people are now normalizing with having to concern themselves with going to school, going to church, going to a grocery store. Could that be the last time? Well, so many people are now looking at life abroad and saying, well, this isn't standard. This isn't an everyday occurrence. These things aren't happening. So a lot of people are starting to consider with moving abroad that it actually may be safer than what America presents. Now, hopefully we'll get Kelly back on, but what I will tell you is Kelly is a very unique individual when it comes to this parenting abroad scenario. If you did hear her, she did go on our tour last year, earlier this year, this time, and it helped prepare her beforehand. One of the things that we do, because I don't have children, but I know so many people have different, we're looking at different demographics that come in as far as people looking to move abroad. Some of you guys are military vets, so you might need some understanding on that. Kelly was a parent, and me being a non-parent, I did not have parenting abroad on my radar. But when she reached out to us and said, "Hey, let me come out there because I'm interested in meeting my moving my family, but I need to hear from somebody that actually made the move, actually had to go put their children in a school, actually had to go navigate what school to put them in, how to have a familial lifestyle in a place where you don't speak the language. The neighborhood is a little bit different than what you may be considering." These things were really important to Kelly. So when she reached out to us, it was about putting her in contact with people that had already made the move. So many people looking in Colombia may look at Medellin or Cartagena and see the tourist things that are going on. Oh, these things are, there's a pool party that you can go to. There's a rooftop bar that you can hang out in. In Cartagena, there's Palenque, there is the Five Island Tour, Rosario, Cholon. But what about your family? Those aren't necessarily family friendly things. It's not oftentimes when you go on YouTube and TikTok where people are presenting familial information that actually can help you. When we talk about familial information, like I said, the schools, you probably want to know, is it a safety concern with moving my children there? Will they have other kids to play with when they get there? Or are there other American families? Well, Kellie, once we get her back on, she'll be able to kind of get into that. And if we can't get her back on, that's not a problem. I understand this familial vibe. Kellie will be one of our speakers. Our virtual relocation conference is November 22nd. We not only bring the entire parenting abroad vibe to you, because that is something, if you are a parent, you need to understand. But what we also do is bring other elements to your move abroad. So I look at this entire journey of moving abroad as an empty book bag. And it's your opportunity on these calls and the information that we put out to put the resources, the tools in your book bag, because you are going to need them on your journey. So we put together with the relocation conference, not only parenting abroad. We'll have Dr. Erica Wilkins coming on, because a lot of people forget mental health is real. It follows you all around the world. Once you get abroad and you realize that you are no longer a quick domestic flight away and different things. Looks like Kellie's joining back. Bear with me.
Okay, I'm back.
All right. No, no worries. I was just kind of leading off where you left off. Where you were talking about was the mass incident drills your 5-year-old was going through when going to school. So I'll let you pick up there.
Okay, yes. So when he came home and he was talking about the mass drills and having to go in a closet or go under a table or whatever, I was like, a 5-year-old should know anything about this. This just does not sit well with me. On top of that, of course, my 8-year-old had already been doing that kind of stuff in school. But then when the administration started pulling funding from the education system and all of the cuts they were making, I was like, the education system is already taxed. Like, you're pulling money away from it, and it's not like we have the best education system in the United States anyway. So I was like, oh no, like I'm just not. I'm not. There's a better way. I know there's a better way. So let me go ahead and make this move.
No, seriously. I tell people that all the time, because Americans are they have this thought process, because they was told, and I get why, but they were told that America's the best country in the world, and I'm like, and what? And when it comes to education, with 52% of Americans, adults, can't read past the 6th grade reading level, that's a problem. Whereas in countries that they would consider or deem third world, Colombia, Mexico, Cuba, these people are in the 90th percentile plus, closer to even 95 percentiles as far as literacy, as far as education. When we saw the pandemic happen, because I know that was a lot of maybe put it on people's radars of moving abroad. But when the pandemic happened, they brought in the best doctors from around the globe. And there were so many doctors from Cuba and Colombia and places that Americans had deemed don't have the best access to quality services. So I oftentimes have to correct American expectation and thought process in understanding that the education that you're saying, well, what kind of education can my kid get abroad? Well, what kind of education can your kid get in the United States? Those
Exactly.
things are often need to be put onto the radar for sure. I try my best to at least makes people realize that education, safety. I'm like, America's not safe.
Oh,
Educate Education is not something there. Let me ask you, because I was going to start into before you got back in. There's a concern also when we talk about when you take off the safety portion and the education portion, adaptation. A kid
okay.
coming from St. Louis probably speaks English in English
Mhm.
only. But a lot of parents are considering moving to places where the first language isn't English, and are probably concerned with, how does my kid navigate not knowing a new language? How was that a concern for you?
Yeah, of course, it's a concern when it comes to school, and I hope that the background noise isn't too much.
Nah, that's
Work
good.
building, okay. So yeah, that was a concern when it comes to education. But there are bilingual schools. Like my kids are enrolled in a bilingual school. So they have international schools, which is pretty much taught in English. They have bilingual. They have all, Spanish speaking schools, of course, because that's the primary language here. So you have a variety of different types of schools that you can choose from. They
Mhm.
all have different price points. Those are things you need to look into, and really kind of dive in and see what will be the best fit for you. As well as a lot of parents still homeschool, and even though they're out of the country, they're still homeschooling, maybe using a program within the United States, but they're just teaching their kids at home.
Mm. You said something. Price points. Let me. Did I do something? Don't think so. Oh, sorry about that. Let me ask you about that because most kids they're probably not in private school right now.
Mhm.
So moving abroad and looking at a price point perspective, what does that look like as far as the options? Is it expensive? Because I mean, in the United States, you might be paying zero.
Right. And that was my situation. The kids were in public school. I wasn't paying anything, just got their school supplies and we were good. So here, because I'm not a resident, I cannot put the kids in public school, which they
Hmm.
don't advise you. Even the Colombian people here, the residents, don't advise putting your kids in public school. So, I mean, that says something right there. So they have to go to a private school or some type of international school. I have to pay for it unless I wanted to homeschool. So, as far as the price points can vary. It depends on what school. Just like in the United States, it depends on what school you are putting your kids in. But there are a lot. There's a lot. There are a lot of private schools here, so you do have a pick. You definitely have options here. It's just about what are you looking for, what is going to be the best fit for your kids. I've seen schools go from monthly tuition anywhere in over $1,000 to schools that are as low as 200. It depends. But you do have to understand like what is all involved. So for example, you have your annual registration fee. That's a whole fee by itself
Okay.
that you just have to pay to the school. It doesn't go towards anything. You just got to give this to the school every single year, and that can range, that can vary. For my kids, I think the annual tuition or the registration fee was maybe around $500 or $600 per child. Um,
Mm.
and then the tuition, so for the school that my kids are in, it's about $430 per month per kid. So I'm kicking
Mm.
out on basic tuition over $800. Then you have to think about transportation to the school because in the United States we're used to
Yellow
okay,
cheese bus.
the stuff they're gonna feed them lunch. We don't have to worry about that. No, 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 not here. And this is
Mm.
something we wasn't prepared for. I didn't know that I was gonna have to pay for transportation separately, the lunch and breakfast separately. The school supplies, yes, I expected school supplies, but the depth of the school supplies that are needed here is totally different. Like in the United States, we don't have to have art supplies for our kids or provide music supplies, different things like that. Here, you have to supply everything for
Everything.
every subject. So it's like, oh, okay.
Mm.
Then for extra tutoring, extracurricular activities, those are all extra costs.
Yeah.
They're not included like they are in the United States. Like you have to pay an extra fee to have your kids in a sport or robotics or whatever, and then whatever money is necessary for their uniforms or supplies that's involved with that activity. So everything is going to cost.
Mm. Let me ask you because those all sound like brand new cost. Is there an offset that you've seen in regards to just total how much you're spending in life? Because I know a lot of people are looking to move abroad because the United States costs too much. And we've just identified costs that they may not be incurring in the United States. But there's another side that may be the cost that you are now living as far as on a daily basis. How much rent or expenses that were present in the United States at a high level are not necessarily positioned there. Do you guys find that middle balance where you're now paying for things you weren't, but you're also paying a lot less for just basic life?
So yes and no.
Okay.
I would say for rent because St. Louis does not have a high cost of living, as you know.
Yep,
Right?
yep, yep, yep,
So
yep.
as far as rent is concerned, I'm pretty much paying the same amount I was paying in St. Louis. Now, am I paying gringo prices? Yes, I am because
Mm,
here you can't just go rent an apartment like we do in the United States on your own. You gotta have some extra steps going on that you may not
okay.
have. So I'm paying a higher price because I don't have like a co-signer or two co-signers that are Colombian. Like I haven't
Hmm.
pretty much most expats in our position, you just got to do what you got to do until maybe later on you can do a little bit better or figure it out. So that cost is about the same. My utilities are less. because it's kind of a packaged utilities, the electric, water, all of that is all kind of together. So that's less. I would also say well, when we go out to eat, of course, that's less, and our entertainment is less.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the offset would be if you had a car note, or I didn't have a car note in the United States, but if I had a car note in the United States, I would probably be paying what I pay in school right now for that car note. You get what I
Got
mean?
it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So in my circumstances, because I know everybody's different,
Mm-hmm.
that I think I'm paying maybe I'm paying more definitely than I was in the United States, but it's only because of the school cost. If I did not
Mm-hmm.
have a school cost, I would be good. Like I would be like, oh, I'm saving, I'm invested. Like I have a good cushion, but it's the school cost that is kind of bringing me over.
No, I appreciate that because one thing I tell people these everybody's situation is going to be different. And even coming from St. Louis, because St. Louis, as we already know, is a lower cost of living versus I moved from South Florida. Like it was absolutely outrageous. So we're going to run into people that are moving from all different parts, but you don't sound like you're looking to leave, or you're having a bad time. So talk to me about that, because some people are like, wait, hold on, so you're paying that same amount and you're now paying for school that you didn't, but what is the quality of life like for you guys, as far as both you as the mom and then the children? What's going on down there?
Well, the quality of life is much better because now I can afford a nanny. So versus
Mm,
at home in the United States, I was doing every single thing. I'm working all day, picking up the kids, cooking food, washing, cleaning. Like I'm doing it all. Here, no. So
mm,
before the kids got into school, I had the nanny full time. So she's here. She does the cleaning, the washing, the cooking, to go to the stores, running the errands, like anything I need her to do, she's there. Plus, she's also a benefit because I don't speak Spanish. I'm still
mm,
trying to learn. So she's my person to help me navigate everything when it comes to
mm.
interacting Spanish. So that's the benefit. And it's affordable. It's
Yeah.
very much affordable.
Yep.
Now kids are in school, she's only here twice a week, which is
Okay.
enough. But whenever they're on breaks, she's here full time. So that's one quality of life that has helped me out a lot because it reduced my stress. It
Yeah.
reduced attitude, my mood because I'm tired and this and that. And, they need attention, and I'm
Mm,
like, I'm just beat.
mm-hmm.
Help. I'm also regaining balance in life because again, I was so busy doing all of the things in the United States. I wasn't doing my yoga. I wasn't eating the way I needed to eat. It was just things that kept slipping to the wayside. I wasn't having fun. I wasn't spending time with friends because I didn't have time, or either my friends just didn't have time to hang out. Like everybody has kids, so we all doing our own different things. Now I'm like really kind of creating community, actually going out, being intentional about at least spending time out with adults. Being
Yeah.
intentional about making sure I get a massage once a month, and making sure I do my yoga classes twice a week, getting my manicure, pedicure, like all of the things that I really like to do that makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that now. And even with us like going out to eat, we didn't go out to eat that often in the United States. We would cook. We may go out to eat once a week, if that. But now
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I can go up the street one block. There's a local little restaurant, and I can get the meal of the day, and it's what $6 for one person.
Oh
six.
yeah.
So it's like, oh, so if it's $6, that means I could feed all three of us, and we're good. I'm still coming up. All right, for one meal I would go to
Mm-hmm.
the United States. I'm good on 3 meals right now, and we have a full meal. I'm talking about salad, meat, veggies, rice, a dessert, a drink, like a full meal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I miss it. I've been in for you guys that don't know, I've been in Mexico for the last couple of months, just traveling a little bit, and I tell everybody that knows me, I'm like, I miss Colombia. Like, like I'm like, bro, these prices out here on the road are outrageous. Like, never mind, just it's not even like, and people would think like, oh, well, you just don't have enough money. It's like once you know better, you don't want to go back to not doing better. Like, I just don't want to spend money that I know things don't cost as much. And I'm starting to look at things and I'm just like, yeah, this is outrageous. But people are starting to wake up to this in the United States, for certain. Let me you mentioned before we got disconnected, you came out on, the relocation tour. Talk to me about some of the things that you saw there that because they don't know what I know. I know that you were looking elsewhere and like possible, but then I know you came and was like, okay, this gives me everything I need to at least start from somewhere with a lot more than I was just researching. Can you kind of give the people what you experienced with that?
Yeah. Okay. So when I came to Colombia, before I came, let me just say that Colombia was not on my radar at all. I knew that we were going to go somewhere in like Central South America, just because it was the close proximity to the United States, even though I preferred to really go further away. I
Mm.
had kind of, it's like, well, let me just start off, a little bit closer. So I actually went on RJ's relocation tour in March of this year. I had been to Cartagena, but I had never been to Medellin, didn't know that much about it. It was actually recommended to me by someone else. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go check it out because we don't know where we're going to go. We just know we're going to be out of here in June. So
Hmm.
once I got here, I was just like, okay, the energy felt good. I like how it's a city, but it doesn't feel like a concrete jungle. It feels like you are in nature, but you're in a city because there's so many like green trees and plants, like just so much greenery around. But on the tour, we looked at different neighborhoods. We looked at what was it, three or four? It was three different neighborhoods. It was
Hmm.
Morelos, Poblado, and Sabaneta, right?
Yep.
So we looked at those. We looked at different apartments. And so I had an idea of what the apartments looked like, the sizes. From that relocation tour, I knew that I was going to have to be in an older building. Like I knew what neighborhood I was in,
Mm.
and I knew I needed to be in an older building because the older buildings had more space, and I know we needed more space. So that was like one of the things like I just kind of identified immediately. Then in
Hmm.
the middle of the neighborhoods, like, oh, okay, I knew I wanted to be in a neighborhood that was going to be walkable. And after touring some of the neighborhoods and going up them hills, I was like, no, I want to be able to go down the block, go grab something from the store, go grab something from a restaurant. Like, I don't want to have to call a car every time I want to.
Hmm.
That's not what I'm here for, right? So that was important to me. We also met with attorney who talked about the visa process, real estate agents that talked about like just the market in general, how it
Hmm.
works, all those different things. Volunteerism was another thing on the list, which I've been able to volunteer since I've been here in Medellin.
Nice.
So just started getting into that. So like want to do more of volunteerism, getting a sense of the food, understanding where we should go eat, where you should probably stay
Usually
away
not good.
from the food, like, you know, those types of things are important. Also the stores, where to go shopping. Like we really got a
Mhm.
experience of what everyday life would be like here in the city. So where do you go shopping? The different stores, where do you get different things? Even transportation. Now we didn't take public transportation, but just getting the idea of okay, Uber is here, but we also have other ride share
Mhm.
apps that we can use that's cheaper than Uber. And how do you don't get in the back seat? You got to get in the front seat. Like I wouldn't have known those things if I didn't go on the relocation tour. I say the other thing was I was able to plug into community. That was also important. I didn't know anybody here, but after the relocation tour, I was familiar with people so that when I came back, then I was like, oh, okay, I met this person or I met that person. And when we were out
Mhm.
like that, we already knew each other. We already say, hey, it's a connection, not necessarily tight, but we know we're familiar with each other. I'm not just a stranger coming into the room. Nobody
Yep.
knows who I am. So I think all of those things, they were all very, very beneficial. I do recommend anybody who wants to go anywhere to go take
Anywhere.
do a relocation tour if possible. If it's not possible, at least spend extended period of time there. And if you ask me, I'm gonna say spend a month because within 2 weeks you still can't get an idea fully of a city. A month you can get a kind of an idea of how you feel about a place, and be able to
Mhm.
people and kind of network a little bit and kind of get the vibe a little bit more.
Man, I love this because I say to the people that are not new here, the audience, and I'm like, you hear me say this when I'm by myself. And everybody that I come and bring on, they say the things that I tell you guys. You need a little bit more time. If you are looking to uproot your entire life, 30, 40 years in the United States, 50, 60, whatever the number is, you think that 7 days is going to do you justice? The 7 days is just to bring you all, like it's like a microwave scenario so you can get all of the resources you need. But after that 7 days, the next 3 weeks in that month can be literally moving around, seeing more of how your life is going to gel together as you look into the city and the community that you have. And these relocation tours, that's what I'm like, if you don't have to go on mine, just make sure you go on one. Like, excuse me, with the intention of what the things that Kelly went over, because I'm in these Facebook groups, and it pains my heart, and not because I know the person, but I know how important this move abroad is for people as an individual, for families. You think about a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old seeing a life abroad from that age. What if we were able to see life abroad from that age? Where we would be, what we would be able to do or have done. So when I see these things where people are moving abroad, never have gone to the destination, sold everything, convinced that they should pay 6 to 9 months ahead of rent. And then saying, I moved there. I saw this one and I was like, oh my gosh, she moved there with her kid to Thailand. Thailand's a big buzzword thing, $200, $300 rents. But she moved, and once she was in the middle of nowhere because the place where it was a $200 to $300 rent, that's where she could afford, but it was in the middle of nowhere. She mentioned the car aspect, not being able to get back and forth to things. Said she hadn't seen any black people since she got there, and that was what led her there. And it was just like a lot of the people just asked, well, did you go? And she said, no. And I want somebody to hear that, because the importance of going, if you are saying, I'm ready to go and I'm willing to go, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself, either your family, to give yourself the 7 days where it's like, okay, if I can't go longer than 7 days before I have to leave, at least I'm going to come with some resources. But I should at least go for 30 days or 90 days. That way I can really understand what my life is going to be like here and have a real comparison, because it's like the first week you're there, it's like, man, I'm getting hit with a fire hose. You're seeing all of this stuff. The language is different. The food is different. You're getting all of this access. The second week, you're like, okay, that was intense. Now I can take a deep breath. But you're still kind of got America on you. It's those third and fourth weeks that you start to realize, like, okay, this is what I would do on a Tuesday. Let me ask you from what happened with your perspective, because you went on a relocation tour. You came with some of these resources once you landed with your entire family. You were the only one, and then you landed with your family. How was that first 30, 60-day process for you getting them acclimated to what you had sold them on?
Well, I'm gonna say the first 2 weeks were rough. First 2 weeks were rough, just because I did not have a nanny. I did not. It was just me and the kids in a place where I was like, okay. Even the first night, I was like, how I got to figure out food. Luckily, I knew about Rappi, right? So I was like, okay, let me just download the Rappi app and I can get some food. But like, it was rough those first 2 weeks trying to get them acclimated. They want to get out and do stuff, but at the same time, I'm trying to get settled. I also need to work, because I still got
Mm,
like it was just like and I gave myself 1 week off of work, but I
okay.
really should have gave myself probably a good 2, 3 weeks off to really take my time and be like, okay, this is what we need to do to get adjusted, right? But yeah, it was rough. Now, I would say I got my nanny by that third week. I had identified a nanny and hired her. So she started working. So things
Okay.
smoothed out, because then she was able to assist with the kids and assist with the house while I was trying to work. And it wasn't just all on me. And of course, you got two energetic kids. They bouncing off the
Mhm.
wall anyway. They want to get out and do something. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't do everything. And I was exhausted because I
Yeah.
was also exhausted just from leaving the United States because I still had to pack up everything and, all the decluttering, everything I had to do to prepare to come to Colombia. Even though I knew we were only going to be here for about 2 months initially, I still had to get here. I was still tired. But yeah, I would say things have smoothed out a little bit. I'm not going to say it's totally smooth, but I can say like now the kids are in school. We have our long-term apartment. So now I'm more settled because that was the key thing for me. I was like, I just need a place to stay and put my stuff down, and I don't want to have to keep moving around. I just want to be settled. So I feel like we're settled now. Now it's just about, okay, we need to focus on learning the language. I need to get the kids into some sports and, different activities and kind of building my life as well, building that community, hanging out with people, meeting new people. I'm an introvert. So normally, I'm okay with sitting in the house and not doing anything, but having to make sure I get out and hang out with people because it's important. You do need community. You have to have community. You don't want to be stuck by yourself. And I know we're very individualized in the United States. Having to ask people for help, reach out in the chat groups like, hey, does anybody know? Like, that's out of my comfort zone, but I'm like, I have to do it because this is how it works. Do it. Let's get it done. And I'm just, I got to get used to the new norm. And on top of that, I guess Colombia is a different culture, right? They are more community-oriented, family-oriented, be more friendly, more open. So having to all the pleasantries that you have to do and I'm not used to, just
man. They will literally be like, good morning, bless your mother, bless your entire family. Thank you for gracing our presence today. And you're like, hello.
Hi, hola.
Nah, that's the beauty of it. And you hit something because you're like, I'm an introvert, but I have to be intentional about getting out in the community. We need each other. I need them. These things are important to realize because I told people, obviously you can be an introvert and move abroad, but you can't be the same introvert that you were in America abroad because you are literally going to need lifelines. The good thing is everybody's in a scenario of this. It's not just you needing other people. No, everybody needs each other. Even when we got together, I know when you came, you were probably like, I didn't expect to be on a party bus with a bunch of Americans listening to Atlanta music in Colombia. And, the community in Medellín is such an awesome community because it blends so many different demographics. And a lot of people look into that portion because of the individualistic nature that America is. And realizing that your move abroad, I think the success of it comes from having community. Because if you would have went to Medellín without the relocation tour and just went, and then you would have had everything you have except for the access to the resources and the people from America. I think it would have been a lot more difficult to even go from where you started to even today. But we do our best, at least in Medellin, to try to take anybody that comes and say, okay, here's some resources that you can help with. There's an entire group of people, hundreds of people, Black people that actually already came down here and are helping us navigate, or you navigate, how these things look. Let's get into a win though, because I like to talk about the real, but I want to hear something positive from you. What could you say is the most surprising win for you guys, whether it's just you or you guys as a family since you've been there?
I would say the most surprising win, one would be my kid's attitude, at least the oldest one. So my 8-year-old, when he first got here, it was vacation mode at first for him, so he was good. But when he realized that we were staying, oh, he had a problem. He had a whole problem. So, so seeing his shift from I don't want to stay here to okay, we'll stay for a year and then we going back, right? Like we going back to the United States, right? To now him saying just the other day, like, I like it here. I love living here. Yeah, we're like, what?
Yeah.
That was like, okay, progress.
That's
Some
cool.
some other wins would be just like meeting dope people, like meeting real cool people genuine, down to earth. Now, I'm not saying everybody is my friend. No, I'm not saying that. But just really meeting people who are really there, who are really like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And they're
Yeah.
genuine about that. They're not just talking. I
Hmm.
win. And I think my last thing is just getting settled. For me, that's a win.
It's a big win. That's a big win.
A place that we're comfortable in. We like our neighborhood. I'm still exploring it. And just like, okay, I'm ready to decorate, but I can't decorate until I get that visa. So I'm trying to slow myself down.
Nah, it's a process. But that's the part of the journey, the beautiful journey that is the move abroad process. It's layers to this. I tell people it's like everything is not going to happen all at once. And it shouldn't happen all at once because this is a process. It's the stairs. You're not
Mhm.
taking the elevator. Even with direct connections to resources, it's still the stairs. You still have so many things that you and you alone have to navigate. I can open doors and I can make connections, but some things may not work for you. Some things may work in a different way, and you need to navigate that for you and your family. And I know a lot of people are concerned with that. And it's common, honestly, probably starting to grip them and saying, all right, I feel like I want to go. I'm seeing somebody that's telling me that they did it and they actually are seeing the success come from it. Let me ask you this. What if somebody's watching this and they are literally like, gripped. They're like, I want to go, but I just don't know if it's right for my family. What would you tell them that you've learned from living on the other side of the TSA?
I would say, first of all, give yourself grace and be patient. Like things are not going to work out the way you thought they would. My initial thought was, okay, I'm going to come for the summer. I'm going to be able to identify a place, a long-term place to live before we leave. Come back, like I had it all laid out in my brain, but that is not how it worked. So understand
Mhm.
that you're going to have to go with the flow because things are just different, and you got to just navigate that. I would also say try it out. We talked about that a little bit. Now, even if you can't take your entire family, because I know everybody has different budgets, everybody just can't go
Mhm.
location tour and a flight and all of that stuff. So if you're on a limited budget, but you have a steady stream of income that you can, like you work remotely or you have a business or something like that, either A, go by yourself for maybe a week or so, however long you can go, to go really, really scout it out. And don't look at it through the lens of it being a vacation or a tourist type of situation. Look at it through the lens of, okay, I'm living here. So I'm not like when I came to Medellin, I wasn't really coming to go party and do all of that. I was like, nope, I can't look at all of that. I wasn't coming to do the tours and all of the touristy stuff. I was like, no, I can't do that right now. I need to see exactly what's happening in this community, in these neighborhoods, how these people are acting. Do I feel safe?
Mhm.
It's a big thing, safety, because
Mhm.
online, it's like it's not safe. So I was really like, woo, at first, the first couple of days, I was like, oh, my guard was up. But after a couple of days, I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm not worried about this.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that if you cannot come by yourself and you like, okay, I gotta get out of here like now, then make it a temporary thing. Like save your money, go to a place for however long they allow you to have your tourist visa. So for example, here in Colombia, you can get up to 6 months. Try it out for 6 months, but be prepared that if you don't like it, to go somewhere else. Like just have your plan laid out that okay, I can try it with my family, but if we don't like it, we are capable of going to the next place and trying to see what that's like. So you have your options. Everybody's situation is different,
Yep.
but you must go see it for yourself. You have to. You have
Nah, that's real. Because you saw some things that were really important. We've got our virtual relocation conference coming up November 22nd. Early bird tickets are on sale right now. It's at moodtravelabroad.com. You guys can go there and purchase your tickets. That's just step one, though. That allows you to stay where you are and get virtually connected to the vetted resources that you will meet on the ground. The one thing that I will tell you guys is the importance of that groundwork. You guys just don't understand. So many people are saying, I'm moving to Thailand. Well, Thailand is a country, it's not a city.
to.
It's
Right.
not even a neighborhood. It's an entire country. The same way with Colombia. You had been to Cartagena, and you know, Cartagena and Medellin are two different cities. But then going to the three different neighborhoods, you realize that all these neighborhoods were going to offer different things, whether
Yeah.
it was walkability or um, feasibility to get around from outside of your house, having to can't walk across the street and get anything, can't go down and it be a bunch of bars or restaurants available to you, and every night is a shift. Knowing where the local markets are and how those go, because I tell people, it's like, well, how much money do I need? I was like, well, in Colombia, you can spend like you're in the United States. We saw a property was $5,000 a month. Like you can spend like you're in the United States. If you go in Colombia and you go only shop at Coruña, you could spend like you are in the United States. But you won't know these things from the in detail until you actually inspect what you expect and get on the ground. Knowing also that you said I needed an older apartment, and somebody might have just went over their heads with that because they're not even thinking down to that level. You and I are both tall individuals. I talked to you about my bed problem already, and it was like all beds are not made the same. Whether you need a comfortable bed or you like a rigid bed. I'm a tall person. I don't want my legs being on the ground. But how was I supposed to know that without ever visiting the place? So I always challenge the people that are looking to move abroad. If you can't name three neighborhoods in the destination that you want to go live at, allegedly, then you shouldn't move there yet. You should get that information first because those three neighborhoods could be miles apart in regards to your life and what you have access to. So thank you, one, for bringing that up because I'm like, you hitting things. I'm like, I keep telling these folks, like, these things are important to have in your book bag, your relocation book bag, all of the tools and the resources that you're putting in along your journey. These things are ideally designed to help ease your probability of success because we want to increase it. I can't guarantee anybody succeeding because there's so many things that they actually have to do and you have to do for yourself. But hopefully some of the things that we've provided have allowed you to have a higher probability of success in moving everybody abroad. And it does sound like the 8-year-old is happy. He sounds like a tough cookie. So we've got, like I said, November 22nd, the conference. Want to get into some of those things because we will have you back to kind of go in a little bit deeper about this process of moving abroad. Can you kind of give some of the audience high level on what you'll be covering that you really want to express to the people that be coming to the conference?
Yeah, so I'll be covering basically information about like the schooling process, a little bit about that, how to get your kids acclimated to the new city, kind of figuring out like how do they get involved in activities or even just meet other kids to play with.
Mm.
Um, Kind of giving an overview because Colombia is different as far as in the United States we can go to a park. It always has a nice big playground and the kids can get around. Colombia is not necessarily the same. There are a lot of green spaces, there are a lot of parks, but they don't necessarily have playgrounds. So like just understanding like what could life be like for your children, and then also understanding what can life be like for you as a parent as far as making life easier for yourself and actually embracing the ease, because that's one thing I
Mm.
embracing the
I
ease,
like that.
accepting the help. It's normal to have help in other countries. It's not normal in the United States. So you have
Mm.
mindset to say, you know what, I need help, and it's okay for you to get that help and pay for that help, and it's reasonable. So, kind of just talking about that as well, and just in general, what life is like as a family moving from the United States to a new country. Things you may want to look out for, things you can expect. Just a good overview.
Nah, I'm looking forward to that conversation, even with no children, because I know so many people, whether it's Colombia or in general, there's nothing in their relocation tool bag regarding hearing from somebody that has actually made it. Putting on their radar some of the things that they say, okay, yeah, I remember that, but oh no, I forgot all about that. I need to make sure that I at least, dot my I's and cross my T's when looking to move my child abroad. It's been a pleasure to have this conversation. We're getting wrapped up here, but I want to give an opportunity to for you to put out, a final message with the audience, because this conversation should have hopefully give them a little sense of this is doable, and somebody that looks just like them has done it and has taken the steps and been able to do it. But if somebody is literally on the fence and they're going to come to the conference, but what would you tell them? What would you tell them to for them to get over that fence and say, like let's just get over and let's just try it?
Yes. So first thing I would say is secure your financial foundation. So whether that's a remote job, whether that's your business, make sure you're going to be financially okay and stable. I'm not saying you have to have $1 million, no, but at least you're okay. You have a foundation that you have money coming in because you're not going to be able to work in another country. So let's start there. That's like number one. Number two, save some money. Make sure you have some type of savings because there's always going to be something that comes up that you just didn't know or wasn't expecting. So just have some savings. The other thing I would say to get over is get ready to get out of your comfort zone. Things are not going to be as easy and as simple as you're used to and as comfortable as you're used to in the United States. You're going to, like I said before, you're going to have to get out of your bubble. I'm like, I can be in the house, but I have to get out the house now, having to ask people for help. Those are things that I have to adjust to, and you have to get ready to be able to open your mouth and say, "Hey, I need help." So, like, just getting over those things and just going, be prepared to go with the flow. Don't let stuff stress you out. Yes, it's not. It's going to be maybe a little bit more complicated than it could be in the United States, but understand that this is a different culture. They do things a different way, and you got to go with their way of doing things and just try to make it as easy as possible for yourself. So, like I said, just be
Yep.
open to experiences.
Oh yeah, I like that. You said embrace the ease, and you said you got to get uncomfortable. But getting uncomfortable, you need to get uncomfortable so that you can get comfortable. You like get uncomfortable with everything America has you. Like America has given you a reason to leave. So do not expect to bring America and American expectations to the place where you are saying I'm ready to leave and get something new in my life. And I think that openness allows you to receive not only what your destination has to offer you, but the world. The retune of who you are and what makes the most sense for you as far as importance in your life. I feel like once you leave America, you can start looking back into those things and considering that we are adults, but some of you may be looking to bring your child abroad and giving them the access to this language, having access to language, culture, different opportunities. It triggers their brain to look at the world differently, and that opportunity where we see as adults, it's even more sparked in somebody that's a child. And I feel like the kids are living abroad and getting these opportunities. They are going to be the most amazing adults ever. Like I'm almost like half jealous. I wish I could go back and just do something like that because I just know how impactful it is because I can see it working in adults' lives. I can see, the conversations that all of us are having that, well, when we weren't talking like this, when we were still in the United States, and now I'm able to go, like you said, I'm going back to my yoga and I'm worried about making sure I'm putting the right food in my body, or even I have access to the food that is good to put in my body. Like this is what we're doing on this earth. This is why we're here to commune with each other, to be positive and give each other hope. So hopefully today you guys have gotten some hope from Miss Kellie because she has actually done it. It's the year 2025, and not only did she meet me in 2025, she's on the other side telling you how you guys can meet me, meet the community, meet the resources that are available to you. We'll be covering relocation to Colombia, but that doesn't just cover one country. I mean, one city. We have relocation to Medellin, Santa Marta, and Cali. We also have experts coming on from Mexico. So Playa del Carmen will be covered. We have Panama City, Panama, as well as Cape Town, South Africa. Each of the individual destination experts are designed to help you get the ease of use to move to that particular city. We bring in everybody else that you might need, like Miss Kellie, to talk to you about parenting abroad because so many of you are literally looking to change your life and your families. So hopefully tonight you have, excuse me, today, I'm used to going on in the afternoon, evening, you have heard something that has been beneficial to you and your family's success. For more detailed information, you can obviously go to moodtravelabroad.com. You guys are going to be able to tap in and get information on our relocation tour that is coming up February. We're going to have a physical relocation tour. But before then, November 22nd is going to be the virtual relocation tour. You guys can get your tickets. Early bird is going to be good through the end of November. Excuse me, the end of October. Once that is on, you have regular pricing tickets. But if you guys are looking to hear anything specifically, when you go to moodtravelabroad.com, just reach out to me. Let me know. Our job is to connect you to the resources that you need to help ease your process when moving abroad and make this a reality. So, Kellie, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out in your busy day to spend with these people and giving them some understanding on what life abroad is like with your children.
So thank you for having me, and I look forward to speaking with you all who come to the relocation conference. I will see you there.
No, definitely. You guys make sure, and if you weren't the person that this was intended for, share it with them. It depends on where you are. You guys can go. This conversation in entirety will be available on YouTube, Black Expat Life Abroad. You can go there. There are over 200 conversations that are over, it's almost 250 hours worth of content that you can literally watch at your own leisure. MoodTravelAbroad.com is where you'll get all your tickets as well as our free resources on how to move abroad to all the destinations we cover. Kellie, I appreciate you. I will go enjoy the rest of my day. I will be back 6:30 Eastern with the Roots and Routes podcast team. We have a lot to talk about tonight, so make sure you guys are back right here where you are watching this, and you guys jump into my DMs if you guys need me. Kellie, you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
All right. Talk soon.